Can you guys hear me now? Ah, cool. All right, so let me re-say what I was talking about. Interesting night last night. We had that huge move yesterday afternoon as the New York session closed, move up. Yesterday's high was pretty much right at all-time highs. That's where it stopped. And then with the Asia session, it just wicked above the previous day high. Not quite all-time high, like it barely tested it. And it's been down since then, but it's not dumping. Like it's holding up pretty well. So I'm thinking bullish today, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down a little bit first, just to maybe get a little trampoline to bounce off of. So this level right here, around 285-ish, that's like somewhere in this spot, 285, 275, somewhere around here. If we get a pullback and it holds above that level, you can see all that volume there too. That's a decent area of support. It was also yesterday's value area high. There's just lots of price action here. It looks like a good spot to return to for a possible bounce. I would definitely be more comfortable if we get a pullback before entering long, which of course we don't get what we want in the market. We have to be ready for anything. But that just makes more sense to me. If we just go up from here to all-time highs, it's hard trading that. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. This level right here, if we come down and we bounce, I'd be looking for longs. If we fall below these levels, then I guess we're going to have a bearish day. I don't see that though. Yeah, Min, are you talking about because you had that previous London low at 346? Is that why you took profits there? It definitely bounced there. I know we're sitting at pre-market, so we're not going to get a whole lot of answers right now, but at least from the last couple candles, it doesn't look like it's bouncing from there. Oh yeah, yesterday's open right here at 345. Yep. So if we just go straight up from here, then I guess we're headed towards all-time highs. I would like to see a pullback first. If we get that, I'd be all over some longs. But gonna be patient, sit back and see what we get. So we did have some news earlier, about an hour ago at 8:30 Eastern. Initial jobless claims, manufacturing PMI or Canadian PMI, retail sales. And then 15 minutes into the open at 9:45 Eastern, we have PMI. And then Trump is signing executive orders this afternoon. So be careful on that. So it'll be interesting to see how the market opens. Often when there's news 15 minutes after the open, the first couple minutes are pretty choppy. All right, 5 minutes out. That close last night, crazy. That was the closing candle from the New York session. There was nearly no wick on the top of that candle. So that's why I'm kind of leaning towards longs today. If we get a pullback, that'd be great, but this is looking pretty strong. All right, kind of bouncing up to VWAP right now. It'll be interesting to see if we reject here and come down to that level I was talking about, or if we just go straight up. All week this week, if you didn't catch the move within the first 30 minutes of the open, there wasn't a whole lot of action after that. But like I said, we have news 15 minutes after the open. So today will be interesting. Part of me wants to be patient and wait for news, but part of me wants to take action on what we can get in the beginning. Tell me in the chat, you guys, what are you thinking? What are you looking for? Similar to mine? Something totally different? Let me know your thoughts. Good morning, Shesnagez. Have a good workout, Min. G-Man, wait until after 9:45. Yeah, I can relate to that, Chitramus. I think and I predict and I lose. So no thinking, just react to the ranges. That's smart. I kind of try to make if-then scenarios for myself. Like if it hits this level and we get a bounce, then I'll look for longs. If we hit this level and we get a rejection, I can look for shorts. If we get above VWAP, like those kind of if-then scenarios. Otherwise, I find myself kind of getting too chopped up sometimes and like flipping back and forth between longs and shorts. So I try to stay flexible and react to price. Of course, I'm not like predicting what it's going to do. But I find if I come in with a little bit of a game plan, then I can like feel more level-headed about things. Possible fourth rejection at all-time high. I don't know. Taking a short off of all-time high makes me nervous. Maybe I have a little bit of PTSD from it. All right. Markets open. Looks like it's breaking above VWAP. Let's see how this 5-minute candle closes and if it holds above VWAP. And then if it grabs some of that liquidity above and possibly rejects. Already very different open than the rest of this week in terms of like volatility. It's a lot slower, so I can see where the market's waiting for news. All right, so it grabbed that London high, the third rejection there, and it's coming back down. So if this 5-minute candle closes below where this London trading was, might be able to look for a little pullback and then take a short to go lower. Two and a half minutes until this candle closes. Still lots of indecision. It grabbed that London high, rejected pretty heavy, got back below VWAP, but there's not continuation on it yet like there has been the last couple of days this week. Still have 2 minutes left though. I'm not going to jump in on FOMO on this candle. If we get a good close and I'm convinced that we're going lower, I would wait for a pullback and then get in on a short. Pretty indecisive first 5-minute candle though, so far. If it closes a doji, it will be totally opposite of recent openings. Apparently we can't have normal things. No, they don't want you to start understanding the pattern. Because yeah, that's been the pattern this week. Watch for the first 5-minute candle. It'll give you the direction. Enter on the second 5-minute candle because there's a pullback, and then it continues. So yeah, that's why I'm curious over the next 40 seconds to see how this candle closes. If we get a good, strong, bearish 5-minute, and then we can enter on a pullback. But right now it's not clear. It's stuck in that London range. Yep. Definitely closing indecisive. All right. So about 30 points away from the range high. Still holding below VWAP. I'm going to take a small position short. To me, grabbing that London liquidity, holding below VWAP, got that little pullback. Just taking a small position since we do have news coming up in 9 minutes. $270 is where I put my target. I'll trail my stop loss pretty aggressively since we have news coming, but that's kind of the top of this area that I was hoping for a pullback. 280-ish to 270. There's that wick down there at 270. So what was my entry? 261. And then somewhere around here, 270. Stop loss at that recent high. If we haven't gotten some movement as we get closer to news, I'll either exit or at least put my stop loss at break even. But it'd be nice if we got a little bit of movement lower before news. Yeah, I know, crazy, right, G-Man? So we had that London high liquidity grab, little fake out above VWAP, and came back down and closed below VWAP. That first 5-minute candle was a little bit indecisive, but it was holding below VWAP, and for me, the risk to reward on it was decent. I still think I could see it coming down to this level. Since we do have news coming soon though, again, I'm going to be aggressive with either taking profits or moving my stop loss to break even before news so I don't get stuck with a quick loss. All right, I'm gonna move to the 1 minute and start putting my range lines on so far. 15-minute high is right at London high. So I'll delete that line. And then New York open, New York anchored VWAP. That second 5-minute candle was a decent close, red. guess I can delete this London level now since we already grabbed that liquidity. Let's see if we get some continuation. We got news in 5 minutes, you guys. Coming down to that wick that we had at 7:45 Central. Let's see if we break below that. Market's definitely waiting for news. You can tell. Well, we have about 3 minutes left. Let's see if we get any movement before then. While we're waiting, you guys, if you haven't already, go hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. Did anyone take any trades overnight or pre-market? How's everyone doing so far? You guys green? You red? No trades? No trades for G-Man. That's a new thing. A lot of times you trade gold at night. I know you said you've been trying to get away from the Asia session though, so that's good. NQ during the Asia session last night was just not moving. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move to break even. I probably will get stopped out because it's so close. We didn't get any movement below. I was hoping we would get a little bit lower, but I don't want to be stuck in news. If this thing just skyrockets, I don't want to be in it. So I'm good with that. I can always re-enter once news comes out. Nice. That's right, Travis. You said you took that rejection from all-time high. Good job. You hit your profit target in both accounts. You're done for the day. Nice. Were you trading Asia or London? Pre-New York? When were you trading? All right. So this is our 15-minute range low. And now we got news coming. Still sitting below view up. But the news that's coming out is pretty big. We could get that rejection we're looking for, or not looking for, but kind of counting on. That was the news that we were waiting for? That was the volatility we were waiting for? Man. That was a disappointment. My goodness, you guys. We waited 15 minutes for that. What was the market waiting for? Sitting right at VWAP. So far, it doesn't look like it has the volume and momentum behind it to skyrocket through it. Looking pretty sad right now. What the heck, you guys? I thought PMI was supposed to be like high volatility, big news. I personally look at Financial Juice. That's the one that I have up. But yeah, I've looked at Forex Factory too. All right, coming up to the 15-minute opening range high, you guys. Let's see if we actually break out or if this is just going to be another fake out, grab some liquidity, and reject. Let's see. We already kind of had this opening candle as grab liquidity and reject. So I'm not sure if that would happen again. But it is possible. It could also come up to that Asia high and grab that liquidity before rejecting. Or we could just be going straight up. Financial Juice has a cooler name. Agreed. Get the juice. I'm on the 1 minute chart. So a lot of times if it is a liquidity sweep and we're going to grab it and reject, it happens pretty quickly. Not much of a rejection right now if that's what's going to happen. All right, it hit that range high. It's starting to come back down a little bit. I am going to enter a short. Again, small position, just the way it's rejecting. It is above VWAP, so it could be simply a pullback to VWAP and then we bounce. So I'll be aware of that. VWAP is right around here, 267, 275. Looks like it might just be a pullback to bounce. Let's see though. Coming down to the session VWAP. Anchored VWAP for the New York session, or sorry, this is the overnight session. New York anchored VWAP is at 267. Let's see if we get below that. So again, those are the two scenarios I was thinking. This could be just kind of a pullback to continue higher for the opening range breakout to the upside. Or we could just be testing that range high and I'm targeting the range low. So let's see if we bounce off of the VWAP here or if we continue down. Oh, I didn't draw up my line. 284.25 is where I got in. Stop loss at range high. Target is, I have it a little below range low at this previous wick from the New York pre-market session, if it gets there. All right, it's definitely not bouncing at VWAP right now. It's pretty strong, bearish 5-minute candle. All right, I don't normally move my targets, but just the way that got really heavy, it could be coming down to that 270 level that I had originally. So I'm going to see how it reacts at the 15-minute opening range low and then hold it. Possibly add to my position because this could be an opening range break to the downside. If that's the case, I'm going to add to my position. So I'm going to wait for confirmation, just kind of laying out what might happen. If we break out and retest, I can add. If we bounce at range low, I'll close it and get out. I'll take one off. there just because I should. It's the right thing to do, so I'm not being greedy. Because there have been plenty of times where I was greedy and then got out for a trailing stop loss profit. So I don't want to do that. Travis, on the note of financial juice, you can filter it because there's so much. Like if you have all the foreign markets and you have all the news that's not as important, like the green folder or whatever, then it's hard for your eyes to like see the important stuff. So you can filter it out to maybe just US markets if you only trade the New York session, and maybe take off like yellow folder news and just leave the orange and the red or whatever. So that's been helpful for me, so I can only see the important stuff on there. We're kind of retesting that New York VWAP. What made you go long, G-Man? I'm curious. This little area of pre-market chop here. It's bouncing. We're Americans, we don't care about anyone else. All right, rejecting VWAP. So I'm gonna trail my stop a little bit lower, just because if it does get above this VWAP, I don't want to be in it. So 373, and that's pretty much where it rejected. Strong candle up after the drop, anticipating it going back up to 15-minute high. Possibly. Are you on the 1 minute chart? I don't know. I'm looking at the 5 minute chart, and to me, that was a pretty strong 5 minute candle down. There wasn't really a wick on the bottom. And then we got a little retest of VWAP and rejected. You're on the 5 minute? Okay. Either way, it looks indecisive. Very choppy. We got that big drop, and then it kind of just, it's not at a range high, it's not at a range low. We bounced, kind of random. Zoomed in on the 1 minute, it does look like we're rejecting VWAP, but not really getting a lot of continuation. We do have new home sales coming up in right now. That just came out. That was an orange folder news thing, so not quite as heavy as PMI. All right, so I added 1 to my position because I can still keep my stop loss in profit with my stop loss at VWAP, which is where I want it to be. That invalidates my idea if we break above VWAP. So that's the only time I add to my position, is if I can still keep my risk at 0, but my upside is still good. It's not wanting to continue lower though, that's for sure. Indecisive. All right. Starting to look a little weaker now. There we go. Coming down to those range lows. Let's see if we get a breakout to the downside or if it bounces here. Got out right before news. Good for you, G-Man. Because this doesn't look like it wants to bounce right now. But again, there's wicks and ups and downs all over the place, so nobody knows what's going on yet. Sitting right at that 15-minute range low. This wick right here at 23,333 would officially be the 15-minute range low. Curious to see if we bounce there. With the way it's showing that it's not wanting to continue in either direction really, but like sellers are not really taking this thing down aggressively. This could be a possible like 15-minute fake out to the downside where we just wick below, grab this little liquidity, and then bounce. So I'm prepared for that. I do have my target lower if we do get a breakout, a 15-minute opening range break to the downside. But I don't know. This looks choppy. How's your trading going, you guys? Anyone actually making money in this? I feel like this would be good if you're a scalper. Like if you just enter a trade for like 20 seconds, just trying to get 10 points. There could have been lots of opportunities for that so far. Honestly, I probably need to get better at doing that kind of stuff. Like just being okay with grabbing 20 points and not catching the whole move. That's definitely an area of weakness for me. Like expecting the breakout and holding for too long. It's starting to bounce and never really officially came down to that range low. Travis just being patient, waiting for some sort of move outside of this range. Yeah, I agree. I hope we actually get some movement outside of the range. I don't know, this volume is sad. And looking at the 5-minute, that's just choppy. Let's look at compared to yesterday's volume. Let's see. There's the New York session from yesterday. I guess it's about the same. It just seems choppy and slow. Look at that 15-minute chart, you guys. That does not look like it wants to go down. Look at all those wicks. It's holding up. All right, I'm pretty sure that hit my stop loss. Oh, not yet. Oh my goodness. It's about to. It's holding below that New York anchored VWAP. It's testing everyone's patience for sure. It's probably what it's doing. Trying to lull everyone to sleep. And then the bigger move happens. But they're not going to do it until you've stopped paying attention. All right. Trying to come down again. So that one buy I have right here is at the range low. I'm holding though for a possible opening range break to the downside. And could possibly add to my position as well. All right, so there's the break. This is the official 15-minute low. So I want to see if it grabs this wick and it bounces, closes back within the range. Ah, why does it always do that? My line went away. All right, so it kind of looks like it's possibly grabbing that wick and bouncing. Still fighting to get back within the range. Let's see if it holds outside and we get some continuation down. That's why I'm zoomed out on the 5-minute. We could even look at the 2-minute. But I don't like taking the first 1-minute wick outside of the range because we still have this pre-market level right here that we bounced at. And looking at the 15-minute chart, there's lots of wicks on the downside. It's not looking yet like it wants to just dump and continue lower. Here's the 15-minute. So that's why I'm zooming out to see if we get a closure below the range. Then I can possibly add and target lower. So far though, it's getting back in the range. All right, looks like it wants lower. Again, gonna wait for a candle to close outside of the range though. It keeps wicking below. All right, I'm adding to my position. It got below this low and it's starting to look heavy. Trail my stop loss. And then 271-ish is where I'm aiming. That's down here at value area high, this high volume area. The top of the high volume node is 272. We also have this wick at 269. So could grab that liquidity. Giant fair value gap from that big pump up last night. So that's where I'm aiming. Coming down to 300, which has been a decent level from yesterday. And it's kind of a round psychological number. I'll take one off there in case it bounces. Kind of zoomed in on this visible range volume profile. There was quite a bit of chop right there. So that's what that high volume node is. That could be a spot why it's kind of bouncing right there. My thought though is this is a possible just small pullback and it's going to continue lower to this bigger level down here. But that's why I did take one off, because looks like a pretty bullish chart. So it can bounce at a lot of these little small levels. My stop loss is right at the 15-minute range low. 334. All right, we're gonna get some continuation back down. $286 to $266. Yep. I see that same zone. That's why that's my target. I don't know, that was a pretty good bounce at 300. All right, now that we're getting continuation, I added one more. Gonna trail my stop to that recent wick high. That's the only time I add to my positions, you guys, is if I can keep my risk 0. That way, if I'm wrong, I'm not increasing my risk. Because I definitely could be wrong here. But it also looks like momentum, it looked like on that last couple candles that momentum was going down. And then that bounce happens. All right. And we're out. Coming back all the way up to the 15-minute range high, which is at 332. Man, I was on the 1-minute chart just to watch my stop loss. All right. Coming back up to the 15-minute opening range high or low. And it looks like that was a pretty strong candle. Might want to close back within it. That was a good bounce at 300. Coming back inside the 15-minute range. I'm going to set my line. So far, this is the initial balance low. We still have 20 minutes left on that. At this point, I mean, that looked like a pretty strong buy up. But we still could be retesting. Could be like a 15-minute opening range breakout retest. So even if we come up to VWAP and reject, we could take another short and come down to that original target I had at 272. But I'm not going to short yet until we have confirmation, because that was a strong buy up. All right, let's see how we react to VWAP. Both of them, really. If sellers show back up, then we're just getting a little pullback and continuation lower. If we break, we're going to all-time highs, you guys. Because overall, this is a bullish chart for sure. I was talking to you guys earlier about the 15-minute chart, just lots of wicks on the downside. Same thing on the 1 hour. Like every time we try to drop, it gets bought right back up. Got a nice win on YM today. Nice. I haven't looked at YM in a while. When I very first started trading, I had NQ, ES, and YM all on my radar, just kind of trying to learn different markets. I never really understood the pattern of YM. All right, you guys, this looks like it might be a VWAP retest and continuation lower. Still not convinced though. I want to see how this candle closes. It came back within the range, but it's still closing outside of it so far. Just gonna be patient here, about 30 seconds, see how this candle closes. Again, to me, it looks like it wants to go down. Maybe just a little further. I don't think we're gonna drop very much further before this thing starts to get bullish. That was not a very convincing 5-minute close. All right, so we have 5 minutes until the initial balance is set. So part of me is thinking like, yeah, this is a rejection of the 15-minute opening range low, that breakout that we had, retest, and we're going to continue lower. But I would be shorting right into the initial balance. Which is a spot where it could definitely bounce. And this doesn't look to me like, I mean, there's not a lot of momentum down, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's not like yesterday where you just get in and get 40 points within a minute. Kind of stuck here. So, possibility, reject this 15-minute opening range low and trap sellers who think that we have an opening range retest. Turned into a failed auction and then it goes up. I could see that happening. Three minutes until that opening range or the initial balance. Well, while we watch this chop city here and we get some decision, if you guys haven't already, go hit that like button. There's 36 of you in here. We got 19 likes. G-Man, you're thinking pull back to VWAP and then short? Is that what you're watching for? Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get long or short right here. I mean, it is definitely not closing within the initial balance low or the 15-minute range low yet. But I would have to put my stop loss way up here at like 268. That's not a great risk to reward because it could definitely bounce at initial balance low. I just feel like it's kind of in the middle. I can see two scenarios. Comes up to VWAP and we short, or come down to initial balance, fake out, and long. Definitely in a no trade zone for me right now. Times like this, when it's super choppy, I definitely like watching the 5-minute chart. Because then it shows you how little price is actually moving. And it allows me to sit here emotionless, like, yeah, I'm definitely not trading this. But zooming into the 1 minute chart, I guess it's not as, yeah, I don't know. Like this candle right here, like big wick on the downside, looks like a big bullish candle. And then there's a red candle. It's just a lot easier to get like, long, short, long, short. So this one tells the story that we're going nowhere. Also, the VWAPs are definitely flattening out. The overnight VWAP has a little bit of a slope down still, but they're both starting to flatten out, which means no clear direction right now. Gotta wait for some sort of decision. All right. Starting to make its way back up to VWAP. And I'm not going to immediately take a short as soon as it touches it. If it starts to gain momentum and there's some volume behind it, this could be going back up. Because that was a pretty big buy up right here. So we'll see. It did come down to almost fill that fair value gap, the pump from at the end of the New York session. So I'm not necessarily looking for shorts. I don't think it'll come much lower than the initial balance. Maybe that 270 level that I was talking about before. But this is a strong chart. It's a pretty big wick on the 30-minute. And it is getting back within that 15-minute opening range low. Sellers are not bringing this thing down. I wouldn't want to chase a long from here because, like I said, it still could come down to that 270-ish range. If it came back down to initial balance low and had a little fake out and closed back within the range, I would look for a long there. For now, just being patient. ES and YM are heading up also. Yep, I believe it. I could see us having one more dip lower just to trap people and then back up to overnight highs, or at least back up to the 15-minute range high, back up to 400-ish. Kind of what I'm thinking. Every time I think it's going up, the 5-minute candle closes with a wick on the top and the bottom. It's like this, it's going up, it's going up, and then it comes back down. Yeah, too many wicks. Kind of in no man's land right now. Coming back up to that anchored VWAP. No signs of sellers right now, though. Yep. That's why I like to wait for the reaction at those levels. And why I'm not a huge fan of placing orders. Because it's just buying right up through that VWAP. Not the reaction I would have been looking for if I wanted a short. It also didn't come back down to initial balance low so that I could get in along. What the heck, NASDAQ? I can't chase it now. Come on. You're supposed to follow my plan. Just kidding. I'm totally joking, you guys. You need to have a rule of a max of 2 trades between 9:30 and 10:30. Uh-oh, Sasmet, what'd you do? Did you overtrade? All right, so it's coming up to that overnight VWAP. Got a tiny little tail on the top of it. Let's see how this candle closes, though. Maybe we can catch a short back down to initial balance low. But again, this doesn't look bearish. That was a nice buy up on the 5-minute. Zooming down to the 2-minute. I'll wait for this candle to close. If this is a good, strong rejection, we can possibly take a short from here. I'm not convinced yet, though. That was a strong buy up. Reclaimed this chop right around that 15-minute opening range low. It reclaimed it and then strong buy up out of it. I'm not loving shorts from here. Sellers are going to have to convince me otherwise by showing up on this candle. Ah, I gotcha. All right. Kind of pinching between New York anchor VWAP and overnight VWAP. I guess I can relabel this. It's not just the 15-minute range high now. It is the 60-minute initial balance high. Well, if we're convinced that this thing is going up, you could definitely put your stop loss down below this 15-minute opening range low chop that we had. And that's what I'm gonna do. 259 is my entry. And I'll put it back at initial balance or the 15-minute range low. I keep calling them the wrong names. It is starting to reject VWAP. Going back to the chop. So I definitely could have been more patient with this long. So I think the reason that I took it is this 5-minute candle right here defending that 300 level made me think that longs were the play for the rest of the day. I didn't think we were going to go that much shorter or lower. If it rejected that 15-minute opening range low, we could have taken a long at initial balance low. But the fact that it reclaimed that level and had a strong buy up from it, that's what made me take the long. Now we're stuck at VWAP though. So that's the part where I could have been more patient and either waited for a pullback on this 5-minute candle just to get a better entry, a better risk to reward. Because I could definitely see it coming down to like this 343 level or even back to the 15-minute low. So I could have gotten a better entry. But that was why I entered. And then if this thing holds and it gets strong, we could go back up to overnight lows at like 420 or whatever that was. 415. Yeah, the session point of control. Yep. Let's see if it breaks above VWAP or if it rejects from here. It went to that choppy indecision. ES back for another all-time high attempt. Yeah, that's actually where I'm targeting. I didn't draw it on here, but on my prop firm I have it. If I can be holding the long from down here while it goes for a new all-time high attempt, that'd be awesome. It's not fun to like have it be at all-time highs and just keep going and you're having to watch it. So let's go ahead and do that. Just go to all-time highs from here. That'd be cool. Sasmit, you're long from 330. Nice. You got a good entry. All right, starting to peek its head above VWAP. I won't be convinced until we get a closure above it though, because it's common to have fake outs. It's fighting. Rejecting VWAP, sitting right at point of control. Pinching between the VWAPs. Chopping around point of control. Buyers and sellers, who's gonna win? There's a battle going on for sure. Lost Texan, I have 4 different prop firm accounts. I don't trade them all every day though. I have some that I like prioritize and make sure I take a good trade in those. And then if I'm reading the market well and like have room to trade more, then I'll move to the other ones, if that makes sense. I've learned that I need to like prioritize certain ones. If I try to trade all of them at the same time, I get way too mixed up and just overwhelmed. And it makes me not trade very well. I'm not far enough in profit that I can move my stop to break even. Not there yet. I am going to adjust my stop loss to this little chop right here. And then considering adding a little bit. All right. Adding to my position, so 361 is my average now. And then gonna move my stop to 339, 340. Let's go ahead and break up above VWAP. Come on. Oh my goodness, you guys. The slow grind messes with my head. Like if I zoom out and I sit back, I'm like, I think I'm in the right trade. Like this is going well. All my confluences are there. I made a good decision. But when it doesn't continue moving where I want it to go, then I start to second guess myself and I start to see both sides of the trade. I'm like, oh no, maybe this is a fake out and it's going to reject VWAP. And we're coming down to yesterday's low. It's going to dump all the way down. That's what the voices in my head are saying right now. Little insight into my trading psychology, you guys. That's the real life right there. So just move already. Have we made $1 million yet? I'm close. Close. What percentage is $362 out of $1 million? Like 0.01%? Not quite there. Not yet. Working on it though. All right, so I had a 5-minute close above VWAP. Coming back down for a little testy, little retest. Let's get some continuation. It's like overnight trading. Put on a trade and come back in 30 minutes to see if it moved yet. Yeah, we could totally do that. I'm used to those like high action dopamine rush almost New York sessions where you're having to like click real fast and put your stop loss on, and it's just 30 minutes of like intense focus. Now this is definitely requiring patience. Or yeah, you just have to sit and wait. Some people say to take a 5-minute break between two losses. What do you think of that? I feel like I would just be thinking, I hope I don't miss a trade that seems pointless for me. Maybe should try it. Yeah, definitely. If you feel like, I know for me, I'm just saying, like, when I start to get tilted and maybe it hits my stop loss and then ends up going in the direction of my trade, and I like last minute FOMO re-enter the same trade. Like if I start doing those things, I'm done for. Like it's going to be a bad day of trading for me. So yeah, if you take a loss, definitely don't let yourself re-enter a trade immediately. Because oftentimes, at least for me, I'm speaking from experience on my end, everyone's different. But if I take an immediate trade after a loss, I'm probably flipping in the opposite direction, which means I'm not analyzing the market well and I'm not like trading my setup. I'm just mad at that point. So I think taking a break is definitely important. You got to wait for new information anyway, right? If you just took a loss, why are you all of a sudden reading the market really well 30 seconds later? What gives you the ability to enter that trade right away? Oh, I love the lockout feature on Project X. Love it so much. Because then you don't have to rely on your own self-control, which you guys know how that goes. It's like, oh, I'm going to take a break. I'm not going to take a trade. And then you open your computer and take another one anyway. So if in your right mind, when you're thinking clearly, you can log in and lock yourself out, that's a good way to go. All right, so I kind of had that little retest of VWAP, continuation higher. Now zooming out to the 15-minute chart. We have 45 seconds left on this candle. I like to use the 15-minute chart for confirmation of a VWAP break because it's really common if you're zoomed in on like the 5-minute chart or 1 or 2 minute to have it looks like a powerful close above VWAP and then it rejects just as soon. So if there's a 15-minute candle closure above or below, that's a pretty good indication. So looks like longs are the play. It's just a matter of how high is it going to go. Is it going to reject at initial balance high? Or are we going back up to the overnight high? Sasmit, I don't know if you've heard me talk about this before, but have you heard me talk about the concept of recording the best trade of the day or the A+ setup of the day? So I'll say it again. You might have heard it already. I'm going to move to break even, you guys, because break even is pretty much right at VWAP. So if it comes back down and comes below VWAP, my idea is invalidated anyway. So the idea of recording the best trade of the day, like based on, it's different for everyone because everyone has a different trading strategy. But based on your strategy, looking back at today's session, what was the best like A plus setup for the day? Like you would take it 10 out of 10 times. There was all kinds of confluence. It just looked perfect. What was that trade? Whether you took it or not, record it, like screenshot it, make notes, and put that in your trade log or your journal or whatever. But basically it kind of just, I've been doing it for the last couple months. It trains you to like know what your A plus setup looks like. And when you see it, oh, that's so annoying. I don't know why my top one features does that. It like flicks out. And you guys probably can relate. When you see those setups, you just feel it. Like you feel a certain level of confidence where you're like, dang, this is a good trade. This is going to be a good trade. So when you start to recognize all those things and the confluences and the feeling of confidence, you're kind of just training yourself to be able to see those setups and be able to see them live. So the reason I brought that up is maybe start doing that so that you can start training yourself to like be patient and really wait for the best setup. Because like you said, you took a couple trades this morning that were maybe less great, and then you were already done trading and you saw another great setup that would have been better. So I don't know, maybe train yourself to wait for those better setups. Yeah, Lost Texan, you're right. Possibly more important is to learn how to identify when you're going on tilt. I've definitely started to recognize some of those emotional cues and triggers. Like for me, for example, if I have a really high amount of unrealized profit and then it comes back down to my stop loss or even break even, like this, for example, I'm up $246 unrealized. If some random news event comes out or like something about tariffs or a tweet or whatever, and we just have a random dump and I end up making $19, I would need to walk away and stop trading. Because that is a big trigger for me. Like I get mad when that happens to me, like just a random event that takes all the unrealized profits away. So learning what those triggers are for you is definitely important. $12 left on your My Funded Futures challenge. Trying to get it back. Let's go. One contract, just do one. And you can't let yourself get into drawdown. All right, so I'm going to see how price reacts at initial balance high. And it'll be interesting to see if we reject there or if this stays strong and we continue. You think it won't go beyond 23,400, huh? Why do you say that? You already made $30 today. Awesome. So now do you have $42 in drawdown? You have a chance now. $42 is quite a bit if you're using one micro. Yes. Thanks, Sasmit. I appreciate that. Sasmit's going to make sure it goes up beyond 23,400 so we can all take profit at all-time highs. Let's go. Huh. Yeah, 23,400 is a decent level. I actually have this little gray shaded area. It was a high volume node that I had marked off from Wednesday. Obviously, there's not a ton of data because that was one day of trading at all-time highs. Well, I guess 2 days of trading because Monday was up there too. But most of it was from this chop area right here. So yeah, that's definitely a good spot to take some profits right at initial balance high. I also like watching previous day point of controls. So this is Monday's point of control is sitting right at 393, which is kind of just another way of looking at high volume nodes on the visible range volume profile, or I mean, lots of different ways to find the same levels. But there's a decent amount of confluence for that level. I agree. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's not going to go beyond that level, though. We don't know that. This looks pretty bullish to me. So there's a chance it can break that level. That was an interesting little wick down. And then strong buy right back up. This is slow and choppy. So we had lots of chop, like last night was pretty choppy too. That's probably what we're fighting through right now. All this right here. Yeah, I agree, G-Man. Could just be a rangy day. I'm hoping. I try not to like put too much emotion behind it. So when I say I hope, I don't mean much by it, but I'd like to see it come back up to initial balance high and at least get some momentum in either direction. Like maybe a strong rejection from there and we can flip into a short, or like break above, but I don't want to see it just chop here. If that's what starts happening, then I'd be done trading for the day. That's not tradable for me and my strategy. Joey's flat today. Yeah, I'm surprised that PA is so slow. It was a lot more volatile the last couple of days, at least within the first like 40 minutes of the open, and then it flattened out after that. But since we had news today, I'm surprised it's this slow. It's weird. Picking up your new boat. Let's go. That's exciting. Bye, Chichamis. Have a great one. No, the new pathway clarified. He said it could go beyond 23,400, but he thinks there's going to be a big pullback at 23,400 before it potentially goes higher if it does. Which, yeah, I don't disagree with that. That's why I said I want to see how it reacts at initial balance high. If the slow grind like this continues, it definitely could stall out big time at initial balance high because there's not much momentum and volume. We would need something to push us beyond that level. All right. Heading up to initial balance high. $23,400. I'm going to trail my stop loss. My chat is really smart. Well, good. I love it that you guys are always sharing ideas with each other. It makes trading more fun. Because like I've said many times before, trading is hard. You're alone. It's lonely. So being able to trade with other people is pretty fun. It makes it better. All right. I'm going to take one off at initial balance high, and then that way at least I can lock in some profits, and then I'll see how it reacts at that level. If we get strong sellers, I'll close the whole thing. If we hold that level and start to kind of just like chop around and consolidate and look like we're going to move higher, I'll hold the rest of it to all-time highs. Getting a little pullback, and we haven't even reached initial balance high. I don't know what it means when I'm learning lessons every single day. Well, honestly, if you're actually learning, like journaling it and reviewing and practicing and improving on it and just getting a little bit better every day, then that's good. But if you're just like recording the mistake and then continuing to make the same mistake, that's not great. So I guess it depends on if you're actually learning the lesson, right? It's rejecting at that little high volume area that I had marked off. It's not going all the way up to initial balance high. We got a bounce here, otherwise it's going to hit my trailing stop loss. Looks like it's coming down, you guys. New pathway was right. Yeah, possibly. So far, it looks like it. It didn't even come up to initial balance high. Got pretty weak on that last candle. Well, the price action today is similar to the rest of the week so far, where like it just dies after the first little bit of the open. The difference is though that we didn't even have a good open. It's just been slow all day. Sasmit, time to go play some video games. That sounds fun. Good reason to get away from the charts. Or it sounds a whole lot more fun than this. Looking at Bookmap, the heat map is just dark underneath. There is not much lower. Everything is up. But there's also not much up either. Like there's not really any big orders past 410. 23, 410 is kind of the top. There's some higher. Sasmit, what's for dinner? You gonna stay on your eating plan, or are you craving a Big Mac or something? Did I just mess you up because I had talked to you about a Big Mac and now you're gonna be craving it? I think looking at Bookmap when we're at all-time highs and there's a whole bunch of orders beyond all-time highs, it kind of just makes me laugh. Like, are people just putting random arbitrary numbers out there hoping that it gets there? Like, for example, there's 51 orders sitting at 23,460. Like, that person's just hoping. There you go. Dinner was veggies and a protein shake. What's the funny thing? The slow grind continues. All right, guys, we got 42 people watching now. 27 likes. Go hit that like button. I'd appreciate it. My record, I think, was 45, something like that. We were doing a giveaway one day, and I was like, all right, if we hit 40, we're doing a giveaway. And I got beyond 40, 45, somewhere around there. Coming on up to initial balance. You relate everything to trading. You allow yourself one controlled cheat meal without guilt if you crave more than one, or more than. I just tell it, if I can't control this, then how can I control my FOMO when it kicks in while trading? Yeah, that's a good point. I think just discipline in anything in your life is going to transfer to discipline in trading, because we all know, like, sticking to your rules, following your game plan, managing risk, like all the stuff that makes you a successful trader requires a lot of discipline and sticking to your rules. So if you're not disciplined in so many other areas of your life, how can you expect to be a disciplined trader? So for me, my brain immediately goes to your eating and your fitness discipline, just because that's my background. But it applies to everything. Are you the type of person who does what they say they're gonna do? Do you show up on time? Do you keep your appointments? Do you follow the rules elsewhere? Or are you a complete mess in other areas of your life and then you expect to be a disciplined trader? I think it's a life skill that's transferable. I think one cheat meal per week is totally acceptable. As long as it's just like eating that one thing that you've been craving. Like, I'll eat a healthy dinner and then I really want some ice cream or something like that. But if you just completely go overboard and you consume like 3,000 calories in one meal, you can undo all of your hard work from the week. So it depends on how you do the cheat meal, honestly. Luna raid. Let's go. Tell this thing to go up, dude. I have one order sitting at all-time high, and it keeps like inching towards it, or not all-time high, but initial balance high. I'm gonna move this down just short of initial balance high, just because it's annoying to me that it's not going up there. But the fact that it's not pulling back and it's kind of just consolidating here, maybe I'm making up stories because I'm in a long with a target higher, but it kind of makes me feel like it's consolidating for a bigger move up if momentum ever decides to show up, which it might not, because it's been a slow grind up since 9:20, like for the last hour. Testing my patience for sure. I'm on the 5-minute chart, and it's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're on our 6th candle in this 26-point range. One boredom trade could destroy your day. Absolutely. So one thing I've done, which I actually learned this from Joey Morgan, who I worked with for a couple months, kind of helping with my mental game. Board trading was a big problem that I had, and I'm still not completely over it, but I created a practice account on one of my prop firms. So if I find myself kind of just like scrolling through my phone and looking at charts and feeling like I want to take a trade, I go to my practice account. That way I can still feel like I'm trading, because you kind of still get that like dopamine from entering a trade and watching it and setting your targets and stuff. It's fun, you know? It's, I guess, kind of the trader's version of scrolling Facebook. Like, we just like to do it. But if you're trading real money when you're bored and you're not taking good setups, you're probably going to mess up. So set up a practice account so you can board trade and not lose money. All right, are we going to repeat this pattern where every other 5 minute is red, green, red? We're due for a green that's a little bit higher than the previous red, right? If the pattern repeats, we should be golden. Oh my goodness. Sasma, that's anything big that you want to accomplish in life. People are going to tell you it's a bad idea. They're going to try to stop you from reaching your dreams. So don't listen to other people. Any of those people who told you this is a bad idea, are they living the lifestyle that you want to live? Do they have all the time freedom that you want? Do they all have all the financial freedom that you want? Probably not. If it was someone that you actually wanted to achieve what they have, then maybe you could listen to their advice. But don't listen to broke people who don't have any time. And you know what? I'm not wishing this on you. Like, I'm wishing all the best for you. But heck, even if the worst case scenario happens and you have to take a step back and go get another job, but still continue trading on the side, oh well, like, you're still going to be working towards your dreams. Don't let other people kill that for you. I dropped out of college to open up my own business, and my whole family said the same thing. They told me it was the worst idea. It worked out. I had a really successful gym that I ran for 15 years, and I sold it. I was profitable and sold it as a college dropout. So do what you want. All right, hit my trailing stop loss. And I am no longer interested in trading this crap, you guys. This is ugly. It's starting to get a little bit weak. I don't even know what I'd be looking for at this point just because it's so slow. I could see it maybe coming back down to point of control, which is like right in between these VWAPs at 356. So that'd be a good spot for a retest and then continuation higher. So that's what I'm going to do, you guys. So I'm not sitting here staring at the charts. I'm going to set an alert right here at point of control, 356. So if it comes down to here, I could see how it reacts at that level and possibly take a long back to initial balance high. The other spot I'm going to set an alert is right at initial balance high. What I'd be looking for there is a possible rejection. We can short from there. Or if it breaks out of initial balance high, it claims it and then retests, we could possibly take a long off of initial balance high. So that's what I would be looking for. Those are my levels, but for now, this choppy consolidation is gross, and I'm not going to trade it. So I'll adjust this. That was my target, but I ended up getting stopped out on my trailing stop loss here for about 16 points. Sat through that trade for 50 minutes. For 16 points. I made like $160. But hey, you know what? I like these tweets where I'm reminded, or not tweets, but like memes, whatever. I see it all over the place. Just reminders that people will work all day at a $20 an hour job and make like $100 in a day or $200 in a day. Or even if you have a decent salaried job where you have to work all day. Maybe you make $1,000 a day, but plus you have like an hour commute both ways and you never see your family. And then traders, I'm complaining about making $160 in an hour in my office at home. And I get to go play the rest of the day. 2 hours, made $474 times 3 across my accounts. And I'm complaining. So preaching to myself here. Don't be dumb. Don't be greedy. That's great profits in 2 hours of quote unquote work. I wouldn't even call this work. This is fun. All right. So got my levels, my alerts set. So if it hits either one of these, I can come get the notification to check my charts. Other than that, I'm going to go take a break. Probably go get a snack. I didn't get caught up on the chat. Evan, a quick breakdown on my strategy and what I look for every day. Yeah, that can take some time. So I use the 15-minute initial balance levels, and I look for either a fake breakout and then trade to the other end of the range. I do the same thing, or a breakout retest trend continuation. Same idea with a 60-minute initial balance. And then I use volume profile and session volume profile. So those are the strategies that I use, Evan. I do have videos on my YouTube channel breaking down all of that too. And I trade live daily. I'll be here again tomorrow at the New York Open. And I love helping people. I'm definitely not claiming to be the best trader in the world. I'm still fairly new to this too. So I'm not an expert, but if you want to come trade with us live and ask questions as we're trading, I'm happy to have you. All right, guys. That's going to be it for my stream. I'm going to call it here. Take some time away from the computer.